Welcome to another episode of the Schlegel Design Remodel podcast. Today we welcome Jane Stoller to our podcast. Jane is passionate about organization, whether that be in your home or your business. She's published several books around organization and decluttering, and I can't wait to pick her brain on how to improve my very own organization. So Jane, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I could definitely use organization in my life, and especially I feel like right now, so this timing is great. So can you talk to us about what Organized Jane is?
So Organized Jane is now 5 years old. I can't believe it, but it's a business that helps people and businesses get more organized. So I used to go into homes and help people individually in their homes, but now my business is scaled and I have a course and also products and books that I sell. But I'm really passionate about helping primarily people and businesses get more organized.
Which we all need. So exactly. How did you get into this? You said you've been doing it 5 years. How did you find this?
So they say when you're about 6 to 8 years old, if anybody has kids listening, that's when you start to become either organized or disorganized. So when I was 6, I already started organizing everything from my pet cats to books to everything you can imagine. And I do have Swiss parents, so it's in my blood too, from the country, and Switzerland's organized, but it just became my passion, and I helped my friends, teachers, like colleagues at work when I was in corporate. So it just became a passion, but I didn't know I could make it my business, and I was too scared to make it my business until about 5 years ago.
Okay, so 5 years ago, you started it. You just kind of dove in, and like you said, you started a little bit more in homes, like personal organization.
Well, I did that for, I worked in corporate for about 15 years, and on the side, I always just organized people and stuff, and even offices. So I did that on the side for a long time. And then it wasn't until 5 years ago that I got the guts to be an entrepreneur and say, I'm going to do this my full-time business, and I really want to help more people. So that's what it took.
Good for you. That's huge, taking that leap. I feel like so many of us want to and don't do it.
Oh, it's still scary every single day. So I commend all entrepreneurs out there.
Yes, but it gives you the chance to do what you love, right?
Exactly. And really help people that you want to help. And I think that's the key.
Yeah. Okay. So you have talked a little bit, I've researched a little bit about an adaptable approach to organizing. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. So organizing is not a one size fits all. It doesn't have to look like your colleague's desk or your best friend's closet. Nothing has to look the same. And I think Instagram has done a really bad job of doing this for us because we want everything to be perfect. So you need to organize and make it adaptable for your life. You're constantly changing life, your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be efficient.
I love that because yes, I see Instagram's perfectly organized world, like those pantries. I mean, who has a pantry that looks like that? I don't buy a box of cereal and dump it into a plastic OXO container with a label. I don't. Okay, so we do remodeling, as I'm sure you know, and we often hear when our clients are starting to pack up their homes for their remodel that they're not sure where to start and how to get that done. And is that a good time to clean out? So do you have any suggestions on how you would start that process of packing up while also trying to maintain organization and maybe even more organization when you move back into your home?
Yeah, so that's remodeling is a tough thing because sometimes especially if you stay in your house, it's chaotic, and if you have to move out, you really want to assess what you're going to need we don't need a lot of stuff, but we have a lot. So what do you wear on a daily basis? 80% of your, pack for a week of vacation, or a week work week, something that you don't need to bring even if you're out for 3 months because it's being remodeled. Only pack for a week. You're likely going to have access to a washing machine, I hope, during that time. So really keep it minimal when you're bringing stuff over. You're likely going to have to store your stuff, which is okay for that time being. But during that time, before you store it, assess if it's going to fit in the new home. A lot of times decors change. My mom is an architect too. So she's always like, after they remodel, the furniture doesn't fit anymore. So really, if you can, get rid of it even before you store it, so you can pay for a smaller storage unit and things like that. So assess before you store and before you pack it for your other place you might be living while it's being remodeled.
So take time to assess then pack. 'Cause I feel like so
Exactly.
many of us just find the boxes and start dumping it all in.
No, don't do that. I would actually take time to really think of it as a decluttering session for the whole family or whoever's involved, and have a bin that says donate, sell, and just try to fill those, because the less stuff you bring after the remodel, the lighter you'll feel, the more the remodel will come to light. Because I don't like it when you have a beautiful new renovated space or home and then you put all this clutter in it. It doesn't make sense.
I agree. There's one project I can think of recently that she's like, I got rid of all my pots and pans and I got rid of most of my dishes and I'm gonna bring new in. And that's not the case for all of us. We can't all afford to buy new, but I can definitely see where it's time to get rid of those really old pans that are not doing so well. Like, this is your chance.
Exactly. And it's a chance to start fresh and bring whatever really is important to your life or what is functional.
Yeah. Okay. So you started touching on this. What tips do you have organizing and, more importantly, staying organized when they move back into their home?
Yeah, so that's the same concept as before. When you're moving back in, you want to be really intentional with where you place things. Does it fit your lifestyle? Is it functional, practical? The more practical it is, the more you'll sustain the organizational system. So, and when you're bringing stuff in, I would really caution people too to first, you probably already assessed it, but assess it again before you bring it in. And then really talk to who's in that room. If it's an office, who's using it. The kids' rooms, get them involved to say, okay, we're going to this is going to be hooks. Does it meet their eye level? Are they going to be using it in the entryways, which are big clutter traps? The entryways and garages we should pay more attention to what we bring in there and make sure it's a little bit more functional, because we use those every single day.
What tips do you have for organizing those spaces, like a mud room? Because to your point, I'm sure that's where the mail comes, and that's where you might be charging things in your backpacks and your sports gear and everything else.
Yes. And like, I hate the term mudroom because it does sound dirty and muddy, and everybody brings their stuff and the mud even stays there. So it's like those are clutter traps, and suggestions are just things should not stay there once they come in. The mail, the kids' stuff, they should go back to their rooms immediately. So maybe 10 minutes a day, you have a 10-minute mudroom cleanup or declutter and just move stuff out. Hooks are great, bins are great, but make sure that whatever in the bins is being used. So if the kids have labeled bins, make sure they're actually the stuff in there they're using. And maybe once a month, it needs to be a mudroom cleanup if you're not doing 10 minutes a day or something like that to keep it organized.
That was my next question, and you answered it already, is how often should you be going through stuff to keep it cleaned up? And so the mudroom, like you said, maybe it's daily or maybe it's once a month. What about your kitchen or is it the same philosophy?
It really depends on your lifestyle and how much you're like. Some people are doing it. I do it like constantly. It's a habit of mine, so I don't have to do a big overhaul. And I don't recommend big overhauls because then we get overwhelmed, then we get rid of too much stuff, we buy some more, it's stressful, we don't have time, so we never do it. But if you're doing it a little bit at a time, it helps. But a lot of people right now are spring cleaning, which is a great time. So why not embrace that and do that at that time? But then hopefully try and build it into your life as a habit.
I like that, because I think it is overwhelming. I'll just, even the junk drawer I'll pull out and dump it, and then just getting that back in, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a bigger project than I anticipated. So talked a lot about organizing. Why is organizing and decluttering important to a healthy lifestyle?
Oh my gosh, I could go on for hours about this, but as we know, when we're organized, we feel less stress. If we're mentally cluttered, which is a big problem today, we have so many distractions and things going on, we can't focus, we're always late. Stress and anxiety is huge right now in society. And I think a lot of it has to do with just being more organized and being more efficient. That can reduce stress, increase our happiness, and increase our productivity. So it's a win-win if you're more organized.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about mudroom. Do you have specific tips for the kitchen? So like I said, you see all these on Instagram, all these perfectly organized pantry rooms, or they have perfectly organized spice drawers. Is that realistic? And you said not necessarily, it's an adaptable approach, but do you have tips that you give everyone when you start the process?
Yeah, I do. In my book, Decluttering for Dummies, I have this big kitchen chapter and I have this checklist, and it's kind of, I want you to write down what you're using every single day and what you're using every single week. And if you're not using some of those things on there, they probably need to go. And I know it's really tough, but the kitchen often is dumping place for gadgets and things and gifts. So go through the list. And if you get my book too, there's actually an inventory list I get you to write. And doing that, it might sound tedious, but you're actually going through things and saying, I've never used this in 3 years. It's time to get rid of it. So that inventory list is really good. The pantries, expired products, all of that is important too. And my biggest suggestion is don't buy in bulk as well if you're getting so much leftover stuff, because we are a Costco nation, North America, and we always overbuy. And in Europe, they shop frequently, almost daily, and don't have that much of that problem. Their fridges are smaller. A lot of things like that will help to kind of keep the kitchen a bit minimal.
We're such a big nation, big cars, big homes, big products.
Fridges that are stuffed full, and then no wonder the stuff goes bad in there.
Right, right. I think that we should adapt what you're talking about, even in our designing of kitchens, because I think we do that with our clients too. We talk about, well, what are you using the most? And we try to figure out where that should go. And if you're using it less, it should go above. But to take that a step further, you could even say, okay, what are you not using at all? Does that need a space? And you could and totally design around that.
Well, you'd be surprised. And even now I've seen kitchens with like empty countertops, because some of the appliances are in the pantry, but really we're going to more built-in stuff, built-in coffee makers, built-in like what you need, and then nothing else. So trying to keep that minimal look will really help in the design process too. It's so important if you can encourage, like when you're remodeling, this is a chance to say, what am I actually using every day? What do I want this space to look like? How do I want to feel when I go into it? So it has a lot to do with the pre-planning of it, I think.
Oh my gosh, and back to that whole organization and your own mental health. I find myself so much more agitated when stuff's everywhere. But again, having a place for everything is part of my problem, right? Because we live in a smaller home and there isn't a place for everything, so then it's overwhelming.
Yeah, no, it really can be. And I'm overwhelmed too. I'm not perfect. We all have too much stuff at sometimes. And then getting rid of just a few things makes you feel lighter. So if you can continue that trend, that really helps. Even one thing a day is 365 things a year.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about kitchen, but now I'm very curious on closets, because that's my smallest
Yes.
in the house. I share a little sliding door reach in with my husband. What are your tips for keeping a closet organized, and when you should be getting rid of something, and should all your hangers match? And again, those same type things we talked about with kitchens, but related more to our closets.
Yeah, of course. No, I totally believe in like matching hangers, of course, but but really, if you can make a system, reach-in closets are great because they allow you to have less stuff. I think these big closets that only make you stressed to get more stuff. So a reach-in, you really need to assess what you're wearing on a daily basis. If you're 80% of your time is in your Lulus and your sweats on Zoom calls and or working out, or even design, whatever your business is, that should be 80% of your closet front and center. The other 20%, you probably need to get rid of a lot of that stuff. I keep a donate bin in my closet that just reminds me to keep donating. Things like that is super important for just constant reminders of decluttering. Have a friend over too to help, because a lot of time they're like, you haven't worn that in 3 years, or they might be like, I want to borrow this. So things like that to get you started. But closet is the first thing where you lose time in the day or gain time. So make it organized.
Oh, wow. I've not heard that before.
Well, and we spend time worrying about our looks. So if we're frazzled because we can't find something, then it's wrinkled, then we're stressed about the whole day. That energy and focus is really causing a lot of stress.
Yeah, and I love that you said the whole, I mean, I don't have Lululemon, but I have old navy tie or leggings. And I love that you said that those should be accessible, because I think so many of us think that that's the things that you tuck way in the back of your closet.
No, I'm Canadian, so we love Lululemon, but I wear it a lot, and that's why I have it front and center, because it's usually I wear that 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week I dress up. So that's my front and center clothes.
All right, this is giving me motivation. My mom got me hangers for my birthday this month, and so I'm starting to get the matching hangers, and I'm like, well, this gives me motivation to actually reorganize what I have in there.
Yes. And matching hangers do make things look pretty, but good hangers are also like velvet ones or skinny ones. They're efficient to make things space saving too, if you have a reach in like you do.
That's what I'm finding. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually see what's in there now. So
Exactly.
baby steps, baby steps. And
Exactly.
I didn't even pack this in my question, but I feel like we have a little more free time. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about your business side and what you do there.
Yeah. So because I have so much business experience and I did process, I was like a consultant for so long and I have so much process organizing experience. I took that and made a course, and that's for business owners. And it's 6 steps on how to organize the back end of your business. I actually spend 80% of my time on my business now in this course. It's really simple steps for any business owner. Most of them if you have a really good product or service, but you don't know you need the basic business skills and you want to scale and you're overwhelmed. So it really gives you those steps. And it's all, I show up every Tuesday live for my students. Otherwise, all the information is on an evergreen course system.
Okay. So you said 80% of your time working, and is it mostly small businesses?
Mostly small businesses, that 0 to 50 mark. Once you get over that, it needs more in like serious consulting, depending on some people who work in those organizations can take my course to get more organized, but really my sweet spot is that 0 to 25, I'd even say, employees.
And is it mostly process based or is it everything?
No, it's everything. We start with your time management and your vision and making sure that you're relating your activities to those. And then we go into processes, documenting them in a simple template. We go into accounting and finance. You need to organize those numbers. We go into marketing, we go into HR, and then we go into sustaining your business plan.
Wow, that's great. I'm gonna have to investigate that.
I've actually had a lot of designers on there for some reason. It's been like a niche of mine too. A lot of like interior designers, real estate agents. Yeah, a lot of interesting clients.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Our owners recently brought in a lean trainer. Talked a little bit about that, and just wrapping your mind around thinking about it, I think is a great start, is how can we start process improvements? And it wasn't just process, but that was what I was trying to think, well, what can I improve? So I'll have to check yours out and see how it can apply to what I do.
Yeah, the lean manufacturing, I was going to say, I took a couple of courses with that, and it gets you in that mentality. So it's really good.
Yeah, again, it doesn't mean that you actually have to follow all those processes, but just wrapping your head into that mindset, it makes you think when you do things, okay, well, how can I do this better? Or is this the most efficient way? It doesn't mean you have to go through the full process all the time, but it just is thinking about it.
Exactly.
Okay, any imparting organizational words for us, or wisdom, or amazing tips that you always share?
I just say, don't stress, start today, because often we put off organizing because we think it's such a big task. But today, 10 minutes a day, I want anyone listening to organize their emails, their computer files, their closet, just 10 minutes, just start. Once you do that, something tangible, use a time cube or a timer if you need to like set a little 5-minute decluttering or organizing session, whatever it may be, or on your phone, and just do it, because you will feel so much better.
For those of you, which is everyone who can't see Jane, she just held up this amazing cube that has like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. It's like a timer.
Yeah. I sell it on organizejane.com. You can get one.
There you go. Well, Jane, thanks for taking time out of your busy but organized schedule to join us and share organizational tips for our clients and even for our business. So I feel like we'll be able to take some of those into action.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.